Hey folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Weekly Movie News Podcast. This week's news brought to you by another very, very slow news week. Yes, just really nothing major to report on for the week that I feel like anyone would care about, so I guess it's kind of fitting, seeing as though we're now through 6 months of the year, and we have another 6 to go. So let's go through the box office so far for the first half of 2026. We'll start with the domestic top 10 in the U.S. here, for starters, and here's how everything sits as of right now. 10th is actually Avatar Fire and Ash, a movie that came out in December, but because there's so much carryover, that's still this year made $154 million. The 9th best film, we have Hoppers, making $166 in the States. Then Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu, making $175. Backrooms, sitting at $184. Once again, Backrooms just had a budget of $10 million. The Devil Wears Prada 2 in 6th place. That made $219 in the States. Obsession, that film was made for $750,000. That's in 5th with a total of $234 million in the U.S. Toy Story 5 in the 4th slot. This is probably going to skyrocket and continue to skyrocket, but right now it's 4th, and that's sitting at $297 million just in the U.S. alone. 3rd is Project Hail Mary. That made $344. 2nd was Michael with $370. And the best film so far in the States this year was the Super Mario Galaxy movie, making a total of about $430 million. And now, let's go through the worldwide top 10 and see how that stacks up along the U.S. So actually, a lot of the same films here, just kind of shuffled around for the most part. So the 10th worldwide best film was Star Wars, Mandalorian, and Grogu for a total of $325. Then Backrooms, making $330. Obsession, then in 8th, that made $370. A very close 7th with $372. That went to Hoppers. Toy Story 5, already the 6th best film in the world, $585 million. I would not be surprised if this turns into a $1 billion movie in the end. And then in the 5th slot, we have Pegasus 3. That has made $656 million, which is pretty damn good. This was a mostly Chinese-released film about a Chinese race car driver, so did very well in Asia and really just in China. You know, they always sneak one in there. They always get one in there on the worldwide to do okay. So that's Pegasus in the 5th slot. The Devil Wears Prada 2, 4th best movie in the whole world this year. That made $678 million. And then the top 3 is the same as in the States. So in 3rd, Project Hail Mary, making $683 million. That's very good for that film. Then Michael, crushing it with $977 million. I mean, people do love Michael. It's also why we're going to get Michael Part 2. And then, yes, the best film so far, the only one to crack $1 billion, was the Super Mario Galaxy movie. So that made $1.007 billion. So again, that's where we are, exactly halfway through the year. Some winners, some losers when you look at that list, some ones that wanted to do better, and ones that are sitting pretty. So as far as the studios goes, so there's only 11 films mentioned for both domestic and worldwide there, but Walt Disney has 4 films sitting in there, so they're doing okay for the year. And then technically Universal had 2, so Super Mario being a Universal proper film, and Obsession, distributed by Focus Features, the independent film studio arm of Universal. And as far as halfway through the year goes, you know, no Warner Brothers Discovery and no Paramount. And then no Sony, but I don't know if that's so surprising anymore. We'll see how the rest of the year pans out. We definitely have some big movies, and the biggest of the year still to come out. Very excited to see where it all ends up in the wash. But with all those numbers, let's give you a little bit more here as we run down this past weekend's box office numbers. So, the 5th best film this weekend was Disclosure Day, making $8.1 million. This is not a great blockbuster for Steven Spielberg. It's kind of hard to call it a blockbuster. I hope it makes money. It's going to take weeks and weeks to see if it really does. Maybe if it does well on streaming, then it can turn a bit of a profit, but not what people were hoping for with Spielberg's Disclosure Day. In 4th place, we have a Jackass Best and Last. That made $8.4 million. And then Obsession, just being obsessed with being in this top 5, that still made $9.8 million. The second best film was newly released Supergirl with it made $38 million, which, folks, that's not what this film wanted to do. It's not what Warner Brothers wanted this to do at all. $38 million is definitely almost capping a certain era of superhero movies in general. We'll see what Spider-Man, Clayface, and Doomsday can do later this year, but this was not great. Again, $38 million for Supergirl, and then Toy Story 5 hanging really strong for a second weekend, still making $70 million in weekend 2. Again, it's very easy to see how that might climb over $1 billion for the year, so Toy Story 5 doing just fine. But coming up this Thursday, Vincent Daly will be watching, rating, and reviewing. We have 3 new releases for you. So it's a horror film called Leviticus, and that's directed by Adrian Chiarella. The Death of Robin Hood, starring Hugh Jackman, directed by Michael Sarnowski. I'm actually very excited to hear about that one in particular. And then the big release of the week, and kind of, it's Supergirl, and that's directed by Craig Gillespie. But that's it for your weekly movie news here. We'll leave you today with a quote from a director, Martin Scorsese. Since the 80s, there's been a focus on numbers. It's kind of repulsive. The cost of a movie is one thing. Understand that a film costs a certain amount. They expect at least to get their amount back. But the emphasis is now on numbers, cost, the opening weekend, how much it made in the US, how much it made in England, how much it made in Asia, how much it made in the entire world, and how many viewers got it. As a filmmaker and as a person who can't imagine life without cinema, I always find it really insulting. And all right, folks, the Daily Ratings Weekly Movie News Podcast. That was it. See you on Thursday.